So today's video is a little bit different in the fact that this is more of a short review than anything else. Now some of this review I'll just be speaking about it naturally, unplanned, as I feel that's the best way to review something, to voice your opinions on something. And this is just going to be a quick one, just to keep you guys interested in the channel while I work on a little bit of a bigger project, which is hopefully coming up soon. And yeah, I think it's going to be kind of a long video as well. So last night I watched a TV show that was being shown on a TV channel in the UK called Channel 4. And the name of this programme was My Dead Body. And it wasn't a Mondo Gore movie or a shockumentary, as I'll soon explain in just a second. It was basically a documentary that followed the dissection of a woman's brain. Now the woman in question is a 32-year-old woman called Tony, who unfortunately died from cancer. Now, Tony donated her body to science in the hopes that she would be dissected for TV, well, both for science and for people to learn about cancer. So Tony basically had a huge tumour growing in her brain, as well as over 100 smaller tumours in her own body or around her torso herself. So we were shown the dissection of the brain, in which the brain was basically sliced into many parts. We were also shown the dissection of the eye, in where the tumour started growing from. And lastly, we were shown the inside of her torso, and we were basically shown some of the smaller tumours that were inside her body. Now, while this sounds quite morbid, it was actually done with a lot of respect towards both Tony and towards her family. Her family was fully aware of what Tony wanted, and they fully accepted that her body was going to be dissected on national TV. And there were no blood and gore, if you're wondering. It was all done in a very professional manner, and the reason behind there being no blood was apparently because of the embalming process. And the parents were also very interested in knowing the full extent of Tony's cancer. And after the dissection at the end of this programme, they respectfully put her body back into the coffin, apart from her brain, some of her insides from her torso, as well as her, I think it was a left leg, in which they would use for research and training young medical students. And it wasn't just an hour of watching this woman being dissected. Very cleverly, they'd used artificial intelligence to basically put a voiceover, her own voiceover, using artificial intelligence to basically tell us little excerpts from her diary about the cancer spreading, which actually made it quite sad. It was quite a sad documentary overall. And there were a few interviews as well with her parents, her grandparents, and her best friend. And it showed us how positive Tony was throughout the time that she had left. And her best friend really backed up what the AI generated voice was saying, basically by saying that even through the darkest times of her cancer, she was always extremely happy. And all in all, it was just a really interesting documentary, something that I'd never actually seen on normal TV before, and apparently it was quite groundbreaking. And I truly believe that Tony has done a good thing for science. I mean, I learnt a lot from it. The medical students from the TV show learnt a lot from it. And I truly believe that more things of this nature should genuinely be broadcast on TV, because it's human life, it's what humans do after death. That's it. And the best thing about it was that there were no dramatic effects or heavy background music, none of that. It was just a TV programme, a documentary. It was a this is it and this is what it is type thing, which I genuinely respected and enjoyed watching. And it wasn't trying to be edgy or anything like that. It was just really well made for a topic that is even too morbid to just talk about sometimes. Which I guess, yes, obviously we're used to on this channel. We talk about morbid things a lot, but outside of this channel, in the real world, people don't like to talk about morbid things. That and the fact nobody really wants to hear about what happens to a human body when we die. And it's a part we don't often get to see because it's always very private. And that's all I've really got to say and can say about it, really, as it was just a very, very simple documentary that really highlighted the effects of cancer on the human body once the blood is all gone and the body is completely still. And I would say, if you haven't seen this documentary, or you haven't watched it, or you're not from the UK and can't get the channel, I'd highly recommend watching it, as it's a very, very interesting watch. There's nothing that's overly horrifying within it, you know. You don't see, the only thing you really see is them cutting into her head, taking out the brain, cutting the brain away from the head, and that's only really how far it goes in terms of seeing a body being cut open. But yeah, I watched it last night and I just thought I really had to talk about it because it fits with the channel. It was really interesting and I'd highly recommend it to anybody who hasn't seen it. And that's all, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.